It has been a crazy week. Hi, everyone. Let's jump right in. Welcome to the Success Codes podcast. I'm your host, Melinda Van Fleet. I'm an intuitive energy, business, and leadership mentor, and I am grateful that you joined me today. So if you've had a crazy week, you are not alone. I really hope that many of you took advantage of watching my 6 days of Lionsgate videos, and I put them on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I'm trying to compilate them into a YouTube video. I'm struggling a little bit there, but that is one of my goals. But they are amazing, and I've heard such incredible feedback from everyone out there, and I really appreciate it and how it really helped them. I cover so many things, and one of the things I cover is toxic culture, toxic workplace culture. And it's something that a lot of people struggle with, and a lot of people struggle in silence. So definitely check those out. I just felt really called right now on my heart to talk about that. The other thing I want to mention too is if you're not listening to this podcast on YouTube, I really want you to know that I have a YouTube channel, and I'm a YouTube consumer. Like, that is where I spend the bulk of my time, is on YouTube. And I love subscribing, liking, and commenting. I don't know why people don't do that, but whatever. I do. I always comment. I leave a nice comment. I like, for sure. I always like. And in general, I subscribe to people's channels. So if you do not know that I'm on YouTube, please go to YouTube. Pay the, $12 to not have commercials. Like, hello, best $12 you'll ever spend. And watch my videos. I put out a video every week. And these last 2 weeks have been about money, next level money mindset, reframing, understanding value, thoughts about the universe, tips, like next level things. So when I think about the value that I deliver, not only in my podcast and my posts, but then also on YouTube, like, I take courses from people and pay money, and the shit I deliver is more than what you get in some of these paid courses, especially for the time. Like, let's take out all this fluff that's out there, so much fluff. Let's get to the point. And definitely I do this for a purpose, and I have definitely eliminated a lot of freebie stuff in my world because I truly know that the value I deliver between my podcasts, my content, and my YouTube is top notch. So check it out, subscribe, like, and comment, and let's do this thing. So this week I have had amazing networking lunches, happy hours, conversations over Zoom, conversations over the phone. And this is really what I'm focusing on as a business owner. It's less time consuming other coaches' Facebook Lives. I really feel that because I run so fast, and their content just doesn't even suit me anymore. And that's cool. Like, that's just my evolution and my growth. And I share these things with other people, so they know that too. And so I have shifted a lot of my focus to spending more time with people, which is what I should be doing, which is fun. And I love it. And I love people. And really what's come up in these conversations that makes me laugh, because I've talked about it before, is many people don't know what energy work is. They don't know what human design is, never even heard of it. So then they certainly don't know what Ahai 70 energy is, right? If you don't even know what energy work is, you don't know what Ahai is, you're not going to. And that's all okay. And so that's where I need to be doing a better job of having these conversations with people and sharing, what are some of the life-changing transformational results that you can get from these modalities and from working with me. So even if you don't want to work with me, there are other coaches out there. There are other high practitioners, and there's definitely lots of human design coaches, but I definitely know I am unparalleled in what I share and how I teach. So if you want to work with me, that's fantastic. There are ways to work with me. Again, if you find another coach that you like better, that's amazing. Just do the thing and listen and embody what they're teaching you. And that's what is so mind-blowing, is how many conversations I have with people and they don't know it. And I don't blame anyone. I just think that teachers could be doing a better job of sharing. So hence I'm stepping up and doing this podcast. And then the week of content that follows will also be all in the same vibe. So if you are connected with me on Instagram or Facebook, you definitely want to be watching my stories every day, Monday through Friday, because I share an extra tip, an extra nugget. Sometimes it's an affirmation. Sometimes it's something to journal about that have to do with the podcast. So definitely connect with me on Instagram. It's melinda_VanFleet. And I always have that in the show notes. That's just an easy way to stay connected with me on social media. So anywho, one of the conversations that I had that was so eye-opening, and I totally understood what she was saying because I've been there. So it was like, ding, 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 I need to share this, is I was having lunch with a friend, and she was like, she's a newer friend. And so she was like, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about what you do? Because she had been to tarot card readers and psychics before. And I always feel like they're going to share something in alignment with telling me about money or work or relationships or health, like one of those categories. And they can kind of say something and it's probably going to resonate. And I don't ever walk away with any type of tips or takeaways or action. I just feel like my time's up and it's done. Totally great point. Totally valid point. I have had countless tarot card readings, whether they have been in person, let's say at a festival or someone's house, over Zoom. I've even done those recorded ones where you can pay ahead of time, like on YouTube, and then they send you the recording. And 9 times out of 10, yeah, that's what it is. That is what it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. I like them. I'm not being negative. And she wasn't being negative either. She was just trying to understand the difference between what I do and what she has had before. And a psychic is often similar. And I have had a lot of psychic readings where the psychic really just talks for the, 45 minutes, sometimes it's half an hour, sometimes 20 minutes, whatever. Then it's the time's up, and sometimes they don't even get to your question because what is coming through for them. And sometimes it's compelling, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's really a little nugget, and then they run with it with their intuition or gut. And so again, you don't really get anything. Sometimes you kind of feel like you're left hanging. I definitely felt like that the last time I had a psychic reading, which was a while ago. I felt excuse me, she didn't really get to my questions until the very end. And then it was time's up. Okay, you can book more with me, if you want to dig into that. And I was like, what? We didn't even get to that. And she ended up going down this path of my husband and I's relationship because she saw that he was sitting in our office, which is really his office now, which is fine. I sit in the main room. And she was telling me we were having marital problems. And I was like, what are you talking about? He just likes to sit in the office and do his freaking gear stuff and talk to his team, his fishing group guys. He's very happy. But then that sent me into a tailspin of oh my God, are we having marital problems? And I don't even know. So then I come flying in to the office. I'm like, dude, we got to talk. And he's like, what are you talking about? Right. So the psychic took something she saw and she ran with it. And it wasn't even nothing close. He's just sitting here doing his thing. He's very happy. He's he's that little boy on the fishing bucket that, that's how he grew up, just by himself. He's kind of an introvert and whatever. So anyhow, when you work with me, that is not what happens. So for a session, if it's an Ahai session, you're setting your intentions, you're sharing them with me. We do not really even discuss them. I might have to ask a little bit of context. Maybe sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but normally it's only if it's really general. And you relax for 20 minutes with your own music. If you're in my house, it is hands off. I don't need to even go near anybody. It's energy work. I handle it like in my mind. And I see what comes through from your spirit team. And then you get the energy. I'm a conduit. I give you clearing, a really good clearing, a really good healing, and an amplification. And then we have a discussion. I share what comes through if you want to hear it. And if you don't want to hear it, that's fine too. But I'm not like babbling on and on and on like a psychic. I don't even have that as a gate and channel in my human design to be someone that does that. I just don't. I'm like directed to the point. So it's a very different type of experience than going to a tarot card reader or someone who calls himself a psychic. I do get visions. I have all the clairs. I don't know what's going to come through. I just ask your guys to step up and tell me whatever I need to know. And it's amazing how it always comes up with something that's just truly where they're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And it can be from an ailment that someone has. Like one person not too long ago, it came through that like my head started hurting. My head started pounding, like a horrible headache. And I was like, do you get headaches? And she's like, yes, I get painful headaches. And then I was having visions of strawberries and blueberries. And I was like, do you happen to eat strawberries and blueberries? And she's like, yes, I do. And I'm like, there could be this correlation between strawberries and blueberries and your headaches. Like, check it out. So these are things that come through, and then we have a discussion. If someone works with me for a longer period of time, which is definitely what I would highly recommend, to not treat any Ahai session as a one and done. You can, of course you can. It's $500, it's an hour. Like, of course you can do that, but I highly recommend if you're going to do energy work, like people comment on my appearance all the time. People comment on me all the time. Hello, I do energy work pretty much every fucking day. Like, if you do the work, it's the same thing of like going to the gym, people, or eating healthy, or posting on social media to grow your audience. Like, these are all things you have to consistently do. When you consistently do them, then you will see change, and you will be able to have that consistency and see that evolution and growth over the course of time. Like, that's how it works. However, you still do get results on just having one session with me. I don't want people to think you don't. You do. So, and that was the other thing too, was my friend had brought up like, okay, I went to this psychic, and the psychic wanted to me to continue, and in order to get the clearings and this and that, I had to continue. Well, I've been there. I've had the same thing happen to me when I was in New York City. The psychic gave me some information. Then I was supposed to carry a black spool of thread, and I did that for a while. And then I had to, supposedly I was supposed to tape $1,000 to my panty line, which I was like, oh no, I'm out. Like, this is weird. So we don't do that. Like, there's nothing like weird. These are just like intuitive things that either come through me to share. It's a lot of tips and tools. Like, heck, I even had a guy back in February who was really, really, really into modalities. And what happens out there with some people, my niece, I definitely saw this as well. You know, people get like, oh, what's another modality? What's another thing to try? What's this to try? What's that to try, right? So like, let's do a cold bath, then let's go to a sound bowl, then let's go to yoga. And it's like, I see all of that. It's like, no, just work with a coach. Like, stop all that stuff that's not really going to get at the nut of what's going on with you. But then number two, like for him, what was coming through as the message was he just needed to meditate. So he wasn't even doing the basics of spiritual personal development, which is meditation. Step one, hello, meditate. he wasn't doing that. He was worried about all these other modalities and bringing up all this like past trauma, which I so do not agree with. I am not a therapist. That is not what we do. We work on moving forward. And I don't believe in burying things. Let me be clear. But we move forward. We're not sitting in trauma. So that is a choice. And there's a really, really amazing book I want to mention. It's called The Courage to be Disliked. And it totally backs up everything I know. It's unfucking believable. Great book. The Courage to be Disliked. So anywho, but he was like exploring these modalities that were bringing up like all this other stuff that he didn't need to. He was a really successful dude. And all he needed to do was just like get meditation as a practice. So his guides were like telling me, meditate. And I'm thinking with my human brain, like, no, I'm sure he does. Oh, I'm sure he does. Like if he's doing like this and that and this and that, I'm sure he meditates. So I end up like giving him the information after we're done with the session. So during the part where we have a conversation, and I'm like, I have to ask you this. And he's like, what? I said, do you meditate? Because it kept coming up. Meditation. He's like, no. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Let's go to square one. Let's start meditating. So sometimes like we overthink things and the answers are simple, but having the guidance from your higher self, from your spirit team, however you want to put it, from the divine, from the universe, from God, that's like the gold that's right in front of you. And that's what I bring through. That's what I bring through. And even bigger than me, I'm just the conduit in this session, it opens up your intuition for you. So more messages come through, more guidance comes through, and I help you with that. Like I help you understand that. I help you like be able to see that so you can become someone who sees things more clearly and hears things and develops your clairs. Like that is what's super, super important. So I have like lists and lists and lists of various results. It's truly amazing. All the different things that get uncovered in a session, all the different like ways that you can just make your life better. And again, some things come through me as like an answer or, a word I'll get or a feeling. And then other things, they'll come up for you over the next like couple of days, let's say after a session. And the more you do the work, the more change you will see and how things will happen so much faster. So I had this other discussion with someone this week who I just recently met, and two things came out of it. One was really cool. Like when I hung up, I was like, had a little bit more clarity on who my client is. And my client is someone who wants an edge. So I changed my marketing a little bit. My client is someone who's hungry for an edge. So you've read personal development books, you've done what you can on your own, you're a great person, you're a top performer, but you want to get to that next fucking level. That's what I do. So he was talking about losing weight, and I've been there. I released over 40 pounds back in 2020, and I could hear all his patterns. So he's doing the work. This is just a great example. Great person. So this is nothing negative at all. I'm just using this example because this is very common of what I do and how I see things. So he's doing the work, right, in the 3D world. And there's all these other like patterns and things he's saying, and I can feel the energy. Well, if you did the work, the 3D work, and you worked on the things you're saying, or let's say mindset things, or your belief system, your level of knowing, your level of embodiment, like when you can also work on that and you're doing the 3D work, that's your edge. That is going to make everything happen for you faster and catapult your success. Like that is what it means to be getting to the next level. That's what it means to be getting to the next level. And that is what I help people do. Like I can feel the energy, I can hear the patterns, I can see things, and I can share that with you and help you move faster on whatever it is you're trying to do. And I have done pretty much all the damn things except for have children, like literally. I have been fired. I have been laid off. I have started a business. I'm in business with my husband. I have, oh my gosh, I've been sexually harassed. I've been framed. I've lost my brother-in-law, one of my best friends. I chose not to speak to my mother anymore. Like, I have the list of shit that has happened to me in my life, and I'm 52 years old. And all of those experiences is what makes me an amazing mentor. That's what makes me an amazing mentor, is like all these things that I've had to like work through on my own, self-led for the most part. And that's why I do what I do. Someday when we get our shit together, we will help others. That's what I said in 2009. And here I am today. So the other thing I want to touch on really quick is human design. So you can fill your boots and learn about human design, but it's basically a personal development assessment. I like to say that because it kind of grounds people to a type of assessment, because people understand, Enneagrams or Myers-Briggs, HBDI, like all these assessments. But this is an assessment that is based on your birthday and where you were born and what time of day you were born. So you can't like throw it. Like you can't throw it by, I'm in a mood today and these are how I'm going to answer the questions, right? So I don't believe in personal assessments. I just don't. I only believe in things that are just based on your birthday. So whether that's human design or astrology, that's it. Like you can keep all your other tests. Like seriously, you could keep them. I've thrown them before. I get it. Like keep them. Please keep them. So human design is a combination of I Ching, astrology, chakras, and the Kabbalah, and Kabbalah. And it is truly an amazing way to have an insight into yourself. And when you work with someone, when you work with a coach, you can also understand how it works with other people. And that goes into like circuitry and gates and channels and all of that. So I work with teams with human design, and I also work individually, obviously, with human design. It is truly life-changing. People often talk about the type they are, whether they're a generator, a manifesting generator, a projector, a manifester, or a reflector. Reflector is a really small percentage. Generators are the majority of the population, like 65%. And a lot of coaches are projectors, and so then they'll always kind of say that they don't, have to work long hours or whatever. That's just their design. That suits them. But I'm a generator, so I work a lot and I love it. I'm good with that. So really just knowing who you are really helps to understand like different things and takes a lot of pressure off. And then you can just be at peace. And I think that's like super, super important. And one of the things about manifestors is their not self-theme is anger. And there's a lot of anger going on out there. So I do believe my YouTube video this week is going to be about anger. And I'm going to share a personal story of my own from October 2021 that was about being angry. So again, subscribe to my YouTube so you will see that video when it comes out. But anywho, so human design, there's a lot to it. It was downloaded to a man named Ra Uru back in the 80s. He has since passed on. And there's an amazing story around that I often share with people when we work one-on-one, just to set the context, which often brings up a whole other discussion, which is really fun and fascinating. But there's a lot to it. There's your type, there's your profile. And to me, understanding the gates and channels and what is conscious versus subconscious is where the gold is. That is just where the gold is. So for me, and I've talked about this before, understanding that I only have one gate and channel in my throat. The 2343 is called Freak Genius, and it's an intuitive channel. I just say it and I move on. That's all I got. So other people that are better at speaking for an hour on stage, that's just not really in my wheelhouse, because I'm not that wordy, because I don't have that many gates and channels. Like, it's just one of those things. Can I get a little better there? Of course. That's where we call it open to learn. But for me, that my natural tendency, my natural way to be is that I'm just tight. I say what I need to say. I'm no fluff. I move on. So it's just a really fascinating thing. And those readings, if you want to just schedule a 1-hour session, are also $500. So just like the Ahai. So if you wish to work with me like one-on-one, there's 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year, and I encompass Ahai and human design in my normal coaching and mentoring. But you can also, again, schedule like just a 1-hour session if you want to do that. And you can also schedule a 1-hour session on your pick of a topic. So if you want to get better on Instagram, if you want to learn how to podcast, write a book, be a blogger, you have something going on in your business with your husband, or let's say you're a guy listening with your wife or whatever, like couples in business, then I can help with things like that too. So pretty much any topic for a laser session works for that as well. So anyhow, I could go on and on and on. So definitely please, again, follow me on Instagram, melinda_VanFleet, so you can look at my stories every day and see what other nuggets I feel like sharing that are in alignment with this podcast. And I'll probably like add more, but it's definitely just the education and sharing more about these two modalities I think are really important in making a decision about who you wish to work with, and just for learning. Well, there's just a lot of people that are just learning about different spiritual modalities, and they're trying to figure out what they're interested in. And these are two that I am just really aligned with. And I feel that you have to have training in both of them, which I do. And versus like other things you can just learn. Like you can learn tapping, you can learn breath work, you can learn how to play a sound bowl. Like I think it's fine if you want to get certified, of course, like please do that. But you can watch a YouTube video and learn how to do tapping. But I think with human design and for Ahai for sure, because you have to be attuned with the universe, you definitely need certification. So that's just my 2 cents. So thank you so much for listening. I know I went through a lot and on hyper speed, but that's how I roll. So check out my show notes for any of the links if you're interested. And I hope you have an amazingly successful week ahead. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.